So as you've been hearing all morning long, the U.S. House late last night voted to approve the final passage of the Trump administration's rescission package. So that will claw back $9 billion, $8 billion for foreign aid programs and about $1.1 billion allocated to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The vote was 216 to 213 with the support of all but 2 Republicans. The bill now heads to President Trump's desk to be signed. We understand that there are a lot of questions around what does this mean specifically for Houston Public Media and for the programs and services Houstonians rely on. So joining us now is Associate Vice President, General Manager of Houston Public Media, Josh Adams. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be back. Sorry It's on a tough day.
And if you have questions for Josh or you would like to share your thoughts or your concerns, you can call now. Our lines are open at 713-440-8870.
Yeah, we already have the phones going. I just want to introduce Josh. We talked yesterday.
Yes.
Not a surprise, just a disappointment.
Right. You know? Yeah, it's not a surprise. It is a disappointment. But the reality is, we have to maintain the idea that our vision is a strong vision. Our place in the community is rooted in the folks who support us, the folks that listen to us, and the folks with whom we interact every single day. And that doesn't change. Funding doesn't change that. And that's kind of the core of who we are. And when we think about that, we're able to go about our everyday jobs and do the best work we can do, whether that be that, you guys hosting this show or our folks running the boards or the people, we've got people in the building today working on some desk build out in our newsroom. Those folks are here working. All of that goes on. And that's what running a responsible business feels like. You plan for these types of things. And while they're not good and you wish they didn't happen, you know that you're going to survive them. You're going to remain strong. You're going to continue to do what you're supposed to be doing.
And Josh, we understand this didn't quite happen overnight. It's been in the talks. Yeah. We understand it's been moving forward slowly. But now that the rescission has been finalized, what type of impact will this have, first on a national level for all local stations, and then talk to us a little bit about how it's going to directly impact us here at Houston Public Media.
Right. So let's, I spoke a little bit earlier today on Houston Matters about this. We'll start with the national picture, and it really goes into kind of 2 buckets. 530, we'll call it 530 million annual dollars pulled back. Where that really is going to be felt the hardest is probably going to be in rural and underserved markets. Those are places where they simply just don't have enough people to sustain a level of fundraising that keeps you going. It's expensive. It's expensive to pay for these programs, expensive to run all the equipment and technology that's needed. And so where you're going to feel that there, or where you're going to feel the effects of this probably the most urgently are in those small markets. And those are small TV markets and small radio markets. That second bucket, though, is kind of in a scale economy. As we all learned in the 9th grade in economics, when fewer people are paying, the price goes up, right? Just supply and demand. And so if there are small markets, I anecdotally have heard that there may be as many as between 75 and 100 TV markets across the country. And the number of radio stations could be in the several hundreds where this clawed back money, these CPB funds that they get, represent, in many cases, 30, 40, 50, and there are even some markets where the CPB grant is 60% of their annual operating budget. So these are places where if they have no endowment, if they've got no one backing them up, if they don't have savings, they're going to have a hard time making payroll at the start of their fiscal year after maybe just 1 or 2 cycles, and that's a concern.
Would you think that some of them would certainly just maybe scale back what they do so that the ones that do radio and digital may go more just to digital, which is a cheaper platform?
That's certainly something that I think they would entertain. You got to understand, we are a $19.5 million now, more like $17.5, maybe $17 million organization. We've got 85 full-time employees, right? We're robust. These are stations that have 3 employees, stations that have 6 employees. They got somebody for the morning, somebody for the midday, somebody for the afternoon, an engineer, and somebody trying to do sales and community outreach. It's hard to take 6 people and flip your business from a full-time radio station to a full-time digital station. And the reality is that, a lot of that equipment on the transmitter, that's sunk cost. You've already paid for the antenna. You've already paid for the transmitter. Might as well use it. Yeah.
Right. And so when you mentioned that some of these smaller rural stations will have up to 60% of their budget coming from the CPB. When we're looking at Houston Public Media, what does that breakdown look like for us? And when we're looking at the actual, millions, what are we looking at?
So it's 10%. Our CPB grant was $2.2 million annually. So that's recurring annually funding that's now gone away. Not a one-time gift, not a one-time payment. Like, this is annual dollars that's now gone. Like I said, we were a $19.5 million revenue company. We're now 17.5. And that's assuming that all of our services remain the same and people continue to support us at the same level.
That's the other question. So of the money that's going to be coming in, how much comes from, I guess, grant money or sponsorship money, and how much from the public that we ask for money every year?
Well, so, as I said, 10% from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And that's gone, which now means 100% of the money we raise and the money that we need to operate comes out of the community. 100%. We do not get state dollars. We do not get budgeted dollars from the university. We do not get regular budget dollars from anywhere else. We raise all of it out of the community, and we do that with individual gifts from people who give us $5, $10 a month. We have major gifts anywhere from $1,200 a year to $5,000 a year, and then we have major donors who are giving us a higher level. We get money from foundations through grants for which we apply. We have underwriting, and then we do about 10% of our annual revenue comes from sort of other things, fee for service, production. We have a lot of partners that we help with, things like shooting their podcast, or they utilize our studios. We don't broadcast it. We're just the experts that help them create their own content, fee for service type of stuff.
So I think the question then becomes, we obviously know that the money is gone. We obviously go into fundraising and things like that. But now what is our strategy moving forward?
Well, so the strategy moving forward is to stick to the plan, right? And the plan has always been serve the community, continue to do content that resonates with everybody out there, and continue to invest in distribution platforms that put that content in front of people. This show is a perfect example. You mentioned earlier that this was this Rescissions was kind of a slow slog, right? Mm-hmm. The reality is that slog's been going on for decades.
Right.
From Reagan. They've been trying to get rid of public funding. They just haven't been successful. This show was created much like a lot of our organization has pivoted to digital distribution because we knew funding could be at a risk, and not just federal funding, local funding, underwriting. Radio and TV terrestrial broadcasts are down. Mm-hmm. But our digital streams are up, right? So we're reaching more people, just not more people over our over-the-air streams.
You're listening to Hello Houston, and we're speaking with the Associate Vice President, General Manager of Houston Public Media, Josh Adams. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. And we do have somebody on the line right now, Ana Maria from Pearland. Ana Maria, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Josh?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. The only thing that I want to do is give you a word of support. I love you guys. I love almost every show on NPR. I've been listening for years and years and years. And I think that this is uniting us, the community that those people are trying to break up. So keep up the good word, and I think we'll be okay.
Well, from your mouth to God's ear, Ana Maria.
Yeah, Ana Maria, thank you so much. Look, those are the types of comments that I've been getting. From the time of the vote last night, all night long. It was a late night and early morning. Texts, phone calls, emails, Instagram posts. That's the level of support that we've been getting from folks who have been calling and saying, I love you guys. I want to support you. What can I do? How can I help? How do we lean in? And look, that's because for decades we have been rooted in this community. We have a firm foundation of support in the community, and we're going to lean on that. That's part of what this Resiliency Fund is.
And some of the donations, not everybody could afford it, but if some of the donations just doubled, if you give $50 a month and could give $100 a month, that would go so far. Yeah. And what like you said, now 100% is donations and a little grant money, a little foundation money. But what percentage comes from people like Ana Maria?
So you'll have to let me do the math real quickly here. Our membership is roughly a little less than a fifth, 20%, 25%, maybe a quarter of what we do. I'm getting confused on the math because I'm trying to back out the 2.2 million to now give it the new
now
fractions.
I'm trying to do a little
fractional math in my head. But the reality is that whether it's from individual donors like Anna Maria, from major donors, from corporate sponsorship, or from foundations, we're still raising that. Those are still gifts from the community to support this organization.
And one of the things that you mentioned was the Resiliency Fund, and that is our basic response to what happened last night. Mm-hmm. And how much are we trying to raise, Josh? I understand it's $4.4 million campaign, and that's going to offset the losses. Can you give us a breakdown of where that will go?
Sure. The breakdown is easy. It's going to go to support the operations of the station. Our goal is to try to raise at a minimum $4.4 million. That would be 2 years of CPB funding. The intent is that those dollars are going to be a bridge to help sort of span the gap that we're going to have between right now and when we feel the effects of the money not being here, which is September 1st.
So the $2.2 million clawback that we're talking about right now, and the Resiliency Fund, when were we supposed to originally get the $2.2 million?
So 2 years ago, Congress appropriated that money for this coming fiscal year. So that would technically be the period September 125 through August of 26. That's FY26. We also were appropriated money for the following year, September of 26 through August of 27. That's FY27. So the clawback affects 26 and 27.
And when that money was granted, it was clearly under the Biden administration, but there was no pushback. It was like, this is what we do. This is the government supports this. This has been around for 40 years.
We've enjoyed bipartisan support for decades.
And now suddenly we don't want to support them anymore. Or at least half the half the one.
That's the way they voted.
Yeah.
And so what can we expect, Josh? How long do you think we'll have to be in this Resiliency Fund campaign? And what can people expect when it comes to our programming? So no programming is going to be affected. What can you reassure
I wouldn't say
our
that.
listeners?
I think programming will be affected. Yeah. I mean, so what I can tell our listeners is that we're going to be in this campaign until we've raised the money, right? So that's really what I would want you to hear. Until we've raised the money, we're going to be in a version of this campaign. We are evaluating everything. We are evaluating every contract. I'm evaluating every program. We're evaluating every piece of equipment we use. We're evaluating things that we thought we were going to invest in. And we're going to look at them and we're going to go, okay, with the understanding of the world we have right now on July 18th, is that still the way we want to go? And the way that we're going to effectively do that is with the incredible team of folks we have here.
Well, it takes good leadership. So kudos to you, sir.
Well, thank you.
And our members. So thank you if you've already donated to Houston Public Media. We are speaking with Associate Vice President, General Manager of Houston Public Media, Josh Adams. Josh, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you guys for the work you're doing.
And thank you for your transparency and your candid comments.
Yeah, look, it's all built in trust. The community trusts us, and we've got to reflect that trust back in order to keep this thing going the way that we want.
Awesome.